Detectives with little to go on after a series of rock attacks on drivers got an assist from cell phone companies. But there's a question about whether that's ethical or admissible in court.
Doing a tower dump is a Hail Mary. We have no idea who our suspects are.
Mexico City's mayor says a key to solving the migrant crisis in her city and ours is talking about why people are leaving home in the first place. A small solution to Denver's homelessness issue is being built at high school classrooms in the suburbs.
It's a win-win situation. They get nice, affordable tiny homes, and we get a way to train our students in construction.
All tonight on Next.
Call it innovative, call it an invasion of privacy. Investigators used cell phone tracking to find the 3 suspects in last week's rock throwing spree killed a driver in Jefferson County. Those 3 high school seniors, the suspects, came to court for the first time today. They're facing the most serious murder charge in Colorado law. Investigators say Mitch Karolchik, Zachary Kwok, and Joe Koenig spent last Wednesday night driving around and throwing rocks at moving cars. They hit 7 vehicles. They killed a 20-year-old named Alexa Bartel. Investigators used cell phone records to determine that Koenig's phone had pinged 4 cell towers all along the path of those attacks. Our Marshall Zellinger looks at how technology, seemingly sitting silently in our pockets, can provide the first crucial clue for investigators who often have little to go on.
Cell phone towers, often hidden in plain sight, know more about you than you probably know you're transmitting.
They're triangulating your location. They're trying to determine how far away you are from the tower so they can provide you better service.
Mark Poff is a cell phone records expert who testifies in court cases. He helped explain how the Jefferson County Sheriff's Office used what's known as a tower dump to figure out which cell phones were connected to cell towers at 4 of the locations and times of last week's rock throwing incidents.
Doing a tower dump is a Hail Mary. We have no idea who our suspects are. It's a way to establish a suspect potentially that needs to be investigated.
The tower dump on the 4 locations revealed 11 phone numbers that touched all 4 towers.
This is the critical point, is when they did the tower dump, they also got some innocent people inside that net. A tower dump is not the end of the investigation, it's the beginning.
The tower dump led investigators to track the cell phone movements of one of the suspects they ultimately arrested. The data starts before the first rock throwing incident, and at each location of a rock throwing report, investigators say his cell phone was touching a tower in the area. Investigators wrote in the arrest warrant that the phone number of one of the other suspects arrested was also in similar locations. Poff cautions against this being your only proof.
I don't think cell phone records or location data that you obtain from cell phone records or from cell phone providers should be your primary evidence to establish probable cause to make an arrest.
The arrest warrants also detail surveillance video that led to a vehicle that was found at one of the suspects' homes, and also a tip from someone who knows the suspects that were arrested. And then the warrants detail that when the 3 were questioned, they start talking specifics of the night, and then that becomes more evidence.
Yeah, all of a sudden you don't need the cell phone records anymore. But I mean, how about the accuracy of these things? Because people know sometimes your cell phone is dead on, sometimes it's not. God bless Verizon, they can't find me in my own backyard in Denver half the time.
It's questioned in court, and the company that I believe that Jeffco used, the way they present their data has been questioned in court, which is why Poff, that cell phone records expert, tells me you want the other evidence in case this one appears to be flawed, that you want to be able to do other things. Now, but I'm also, this is something I shouldn't even bring up because I don't know the answer to it, but it's like the fruit or the poison apple. Like if you didn't have the cell phone,
Sure.
Can you have the rest? That's why you want as much evidence as you can.
And it sounds like in this case, the cell phone was just the start. Marshall, thank you. Well, the book banners are at it, this time in Douglas County, where conservative parents are trying to get a book written by a drag performer removed from library shelves. Parents made their case to the library board of directors at a public comment session last night. The book is called The Hips on the Drag Queen Go Swish, Swish, Swish. It's a take on Wheels on the Bus. Conservatives across the country have tried to ban this particular book. Last night at public comment, they called the book pornographic. They said that the LGBT content is inappropriate. Other community members told the library board that people who don't like that book just shouldn't read that book. The book's author, drag performer who goes by Lil Miss Hot Mess, told us the book is aimed at being a fun way to encourage diverse perspectives.
My book has been challenged, if not banned, in a number of places. And frankly, I think that's un-American. I mean, I think it violates our First Amendment rights to freedom of speech and freedom of creative expression. We're part of every community. We contribute so much to communities. And I think kids have a right to learn about that and to learn about the diversity and differences in their communities.
We are curious how often this happens in Douglas County. The library system told us actually not very often. 7 book ban requests so far this year, 5 last year. Importantly, the library system notes it has not actually banned any book that has been requested for a ban. For parents interested in restricting just their own children's access to certain books rather than restricting everyone's access to those books, the DOCO library system does offer a child's library card that allows parents to put restrictions on what kind of content their kids can borrow. The mayor of North America's largest city is in Denver tonight. Mexico City's mayor shares a lot of concerns with Denver's mayor: increasing rent, the impacts of new work-from-home culture, and how immigration is impacting her city. Our Angeline McCall talked with Mexico City's mayor about what they're trying to do to help the migrants who are often passing through Mexican cities on their way to U.S. cities like Denver.
Right, Kyle. She spoke about migration across South and Central America, but also migration to Mexico from Denver. Mayor Claudia Sheinbaum says that they are currently doing a study about rent increases in Mexico City. She says that they have seen rent increases in the past several years, potentially due to platforms like Airbnbs. They've also seen more Americans move to Mexico City to work remotely during the pandemic. Considering the number of migrants we have seen arriving in Denver from South America, specifically Venezuela, Mayor Sheinbaum says that there needs to be more investment to help migrants.
Most important thing to learn from Mexico City, Denver, and other cities and countries really is that we have to invest in places where the migrants are coming, because as President Biden says, they can migrate if they want to, but this is just a small percentage. Most of the people who migrate is for necessity.
When it comes to investment, we know Denver has been asking for additional funds, but largely at this time, all of the funding that has gone to help migrants has come from local dollars.
Yeah, and Denver's in a position where now the city is saying that it's choosing to restrict who can get access to the shelters because federal funding is no longer available for each person who previously was being served.
Yeah, and many nonprofit leaders have actually had backlash to that decision. And not only to mention, we are seeing close to 7,000 migrants at this time. We're just shy of that 7,000 mark coming to Denver as of today. And we also know that many people are expecting more to arrive here in the upcoming summer months once Title 42 is lifted next month, as well as other policies going into place.
Yeah, we heard Homeland Security Secretary Alexander Mayorkas saying again today, border is not open, border is not open. Not sure the message gets through. All right, Angeline, thank you.
A plan for Colorado to chase new green technology is criticized as a distraction from the real issues and a class project with a lasting impact, a home.
It's going to help a lot of people, and I think that's really great.
Today is moving day for the homes themselves. That's next.
Single-party control at the state capitol this year has largely been a walk on the mild side. Many of the most controversial proposals put forward by the Democrats running the show have been done in by opposition from other Democrats. More on that in a moment. The latest left-on-left friction happening at the state capitol is around environmental legislation, with the concerns coming from a progressive coalition of climate change activists. The Colorado Coalition for a Livable Climate is made up of more than 40 environmental advocacy groups. Most have a hardline stance against fossil fuels. They're criticizing a package of Democrat-sponsored bills that would invest in the future of new technologies like carbon capture, as well as emerging energy sources like hydrogen and nuclear. The coalition says that those technologies are not sure bets. The group says the bills are a diversion from the fixes that they want to see. They want to see accountability for oil and gas companies, and they want to see more of a switch to wind and solar.
We're putting effort and energy into these technologies. Not only are we diverting that effort, energy, and funds away from these other solutions that we already have that are everything that we need to solve the climate crisis.
If there are additional things people would like to see on the regulation side, happy to entertain those. But simultaneously, we are trying to put lots of different options on the table to help Colorado decarbonize more quickly.
Democrats have also introduced some bills to regulate the oil and gas industry a bit more. Last week, Democrats trimmed back a bill to overhaul air quality permitting and got rid of stricter permitting requirements for new oil and gas development. So less than a dozen days left in the legislative session, the big leftward lurch feared by conservatives and hoped for by Colorado's progressives, it hasn't really happened. The status quo has been the big winner on a variety of controversial issues, as centrist Democrats have blocked the ideas of progressives in their party. Take gun control. More moderate Democrats stopped a ban on so-called assault weapons. On rent control, centrist Democrats watered down, then killed a ban on allowing cities to try rent control. Democrats were not united in favor of supervised drug use sites, so that bill failed just yesterday. Now, all of those bills were also bills that Democratic Governor Jared Polis did not seem to want to sign anyway. But even the governor's #1 priority this year, mandatory upzoning to increase housing stock across the state, that was blocked by the most centrist members of his own party. This isn't to say that the legislature hasn't done anything of note, just not much on those hot topics. And of course, where you stand on those issues will determine whether you see that as a success or a failure. But for fans of the way things are, this legislative session has been a dream.
A fast and furious storm pushing across Colorado for us tonight. Had a couple of raindrops on the camera lens out there in Greeley, but check out the winds. A powerful cold front is moving in from the north, 52-mile-per-hour gusts out there, 45 in Fort Collins, and those strong winds finally making their way here to the metro area too. As this storm system digs in closer to Colorado, we're going to be looking at rain here for the metro area, some pretty decent snowfall once again up in the mountains, and strong winds that will continue through tomorrow. Tonight, most of the action still positioned to our north toward Fort Collins. Some pretty heavy snowfall beginning to push through just to the west of Estes Park through Rocky Mountain National Park, the Red Feather Lakes area, with more on the way. Let's time it out for you. 7 o'clock, here we are. Nothing quite yet in Denver, but I'd say by 8 p.m. you'll start to see that rain begin to fill in. 11 o'clock tonight, snowfall, especially toward the Palmer Divide. It is going to be slick down there, so if you have any traveling plans, I'd say leave now if you have to get down there tonight. Heavy mountain snow continues overnight, and then by 6 o'clock in the morning, the storm system's long gone. Yeah, fast and furious. We're left with a few clouds here in the city, maybe a couple of flurries if you're awake at 3, 4 a.m. Otherwise, no accumulation here in the city. And by tomorrow evening or Friday night, clear skies and a good-looking weekend to come. We still have the advisories in place. Those will continue through tomorrow morning for our northern mountains until 3 p.m. Further to the south for about 4 to 8 inches around the San Gabriel Christos, as well as the wet mountains. Tomorrow, 55, we'll call it partly sunny with that clearing in the afternoon. 50s off to the eastern plains, 30s, 40s up in the mountains, and the weekend looks delightful. The 70s stick around next week with the possibility for a few spring thunderstorms.
A school lesson with real purpose and an actual impact on the world.
I love coming in here every day, going to work, and knowing that our work actually makes a difference.
Students in the suburbs are building the tiny homes Denver needs. Next.
When word went out that Denver was closing some pandemic-era housing for people with no other place to live, the city said that most of the residents of the Loft Hotel had a new place to stay. Most was not good enough for activists who jumped into action. And today, the House Keys Action Network says all of the Loft Hotel residents are now set up with alternative housing options. Not one person is headed back to the streets. Aloft was one of 8 hotels the city rented out during the pandemic, what they called a protective action hotel. The Aloft alone cost the city $16 million in federal COVID relief dollars to have it set up for 3 years. That COVID funding is gone, so now those hotels are closing. The Aloft is going to be converted back into a commercial hotel. After the Quality Inn, another one of these protective action hotels, closed, at least 40 of its residents ended up on the streets and in shelters. Advocates didn't want that to happen this time around. The temporary hotel stays that are going to keep people housed are only good for 2 to 3 months, so those former Loft residents now have that time to find other housing with state vouchers. Students at the Cherry Creek Innovation Campus are in the home building business. Today, they loaded up 5 tiny homes that they built themselves. Take them to Welcome Village downtown. It's a tiny home community helping people who'd previously been on the streets.
In our construction class, we build things.
Careful.
Wow, look at the way they're putting that house on the truck.
This is a perfect residential type project for our students.
Just try to be careful with them.
Tiny houses, right? We build 5 tiny homes to help people transition out of being homeless.
So they learn everything from foundations, floors,
carpentry, electrical, plumbing.
On the inside, we built storage space, shelves.
It really helps us kind of choose what kind of careers we want for ourselves.
Get the next one in.
We built them so that we could lift them, send them on a flatbed, and ship them out of here.
Looks good.
I think everyone who lives in a tiny home feel very grateful for it. It's definitely like a life-saving effort.
Hey, northbound.
It creates this building that is going out there and people are living in them, and it's crazy to see that because at the beginning of the year we started with just like, 2x4s and some nails, and now they're going to be lived in. Tiny homes.
It's obviously a community-centric project. This is our way of giving back.
The idea of giving back to community, it's a very beautiful thing.
I love coming in here every day, going to work, and knowing that our work actually makes a difference.
It makes me feel really good knowing that I'm getting the training that I need for the workforce while also being able to help somebody in need.
It's going to help a lot of people, and I think that's really great.
It's an ongoing project. The students in Cherry Creek have helped build tiny homes for 3 years now. Colorado Village Collaborative, the nonprofit, pays for the cost of the construction. Their sponsors help donate materials. You may recall around the holidays in 2022, you folks, Next Viewers, raised enough money through a Word of Thanks micro-giving campaign to pay for almost 3 new tiny homes for a Colorado Village Collaborative community. Back with your feedback next. The most Colorado thing we saw today is overpaying for a small piece of this state. A lot of us have done it in recent years, but never has it been more obvious than what June spotted at Home Depot. You got Colorado welcome mats. As the sign points out, it's an $18 value, but it costs $18.98. That actually is a fairly reasonable markup from actual value of something in Colorado. I might just grab one of those mats. At least they come right out and tell you. If you see something that jumps out at you as the most Colorado thing you saw today, email to us like June did. Next@9news.com is our email, or you can get on Twitter if you dare with the hashtag #HeyNext. Bill writes in with a fair question. He says, only conservatives are book banners, a little question emoji. He's talking about the story out of Douglas County where some parents are trying to ban a book written by a drag queen. If you know of examples of lefties in Colorado trying to ban books, Bill, shoot me an email, next@9news.com. We will absolutely cover that as well. Hey, remember our old theme song that babies used to love to dance to? Then we changed the music and the babies got disinterested? Well, all but one. Here's Nikhil and Heather's Baby.